One of the most useful knots that you could ever learn to tie is the bowline. Now, bowline is taught in pretty much every knot tying video out there because it is so versatile and is so useful. The bowline allows you to create a fixed loop at the end of a line so that you can go around an object, whether that be tying down to a truck bed or a trailer to tie a load down, or wrapping around a tree in order to start a ridge line, things of that nature. It's incredibly versatile in its uses, but there is one bowline variant that you may not have used before, but it's very similar to the bowline. It's called the inline bowline, and the benefit to this knot is that instead of tying the loop at the end of a line, it allows you to tie it in the middle of a line in the case that, let's say you have an extremely long rope, but you don't want to cut it, but you do need to use that rope to tie down to a trailer, tie a load down to a trailer. Well, this allows you to create the loop anywhere in the line, wherever you want, and then you can finish off with a trucker's hitch or an automatic trucker's hitch. So today I'm going to show you how to tie this knot. So to learn how to tie the inline bowline, we first want to review how to tie the snap bowline, which is a particular method for tying a regular bowline knot. So the first thing we want to do is go around our object, and this is our working end, this is our standing end. In your standing end, once you've gone around your object, we're going to create a loop in this line by grabbing it like this and turning it, both pushing it forward and turning it in a clockwise motion. Think of that like you would turn the ignition on a car, on a vehicle. Then you can take a bite of the standing end and come up through the loop that you just made and stick it through. Now you can take your working end, send it down through that loop, hold it back on itself, and then we can pull on our standing end. And when we do, this portion of this loop is going to flip over, and that will form our bowline. You can see how that forms up, and that creates a standard bowline. Now, you can do this in the opposite direction because to a lot of people this may not look like a bowline, but when you flip it the opposite way, you'll notice that it is the mirrored version of the bowline. So the other way to do this is instead of turning this loop clockwise, we can go counterclockwise. Only we have to do everything kind of mirrored or reversed of what we just did. So now we'll take our bite, but instead of coming up through the bottom, we're going to come over the top and down, and that creates that bite. Then instead of bringing this line down, you're working in down through your loop, you're going to come up through the bite and just pull it back. That will flip over and create the bowline in the opposite direction. So either way is fine. Both hold exactly the same. They're just the mirrored versions of one another. Now, in order to tie the inline bowline, it uses the same method as a snap bowline. So let's say that we are trying to shorten up this rope. So we're going to take it around our object quite a ways, and now we want to form a tie down point so it will hold here. We want to create a fixed loop so that we can shorten this rope up. We're going to do it in exactly the same method, and I'm going to go ahead and do the counter or the clockwise version of this. So we'll turn a clockwise loop, then we'll pull a bite of our standing end through that loop. Now this is going to go back to the other end of the rope that we're going to use to tie down. Then we can take a bite of this line, send it down through, and this is a little bit of the tricky part. You have to bring this portion of the other side of the loop here kind of upward. Hold on to your loop, you can pinch it off and then just pull it around. You might have to help this loop cross over the top, and then you can manipulate this so that it lays in a little better. My loop is twisted here, and tighten it up, and that creates the inline bowline, which, because I went clockwise, it's kind of mirrored of the first one. But this allows you a tie point so that you can shorten up a rope and still have a very secure connection. This is called the inline bowline.